Today I'm going to be giving you a 360-degree tour of my studio. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Today I've got two videos going up. One is going to be a close-up look at how I've got everything stored. So if you want some ideas on storing your artwork and your supplies, make sure to check that one out. I will have a link in the video description. For this video, we are just going to take a look around the room because this is the best way for you to get a feel of what it's actually like in here. If you're not familiar with 360-degree videos, if you are on a PC, you can use your mouse to kind of drag around and you can look around the room there. If you are on a mobile device, you can turn your phone like this so that you can get a different view of the room. Make sure that you do have it set to high definition, change the resolution, otherwise this will be very blurry. These videos don't have the best resolution anyway. They claim to be 2K. Just the way that 360-degree videos work right now, they're not that great. So do make sure that you change the settings for that. So starting out, when you come in, if you look at the floor, I have a drop cloth. This is just a canvas drop cloth that you get at the painting section of your hardware store. And I covered the entire floor with that before I brought any furniture in. This way, when I spill paint, no big deal, not damaging the carpet underneath. I've got area rugs on top. I've also got a studio assistant over there who is really unhappy because she doesn't have her bed. Come here, it's not so scary. I'll put your bed back when we're done. She's very upset with me about her bed. See, she's telling me off. But if you look at the floors, I've got different area rugs around to help it feel a little bit more kind of homey. I had two major requirements when setting up my studio. The first is that it's got to be practical. It has to be easy for me to get to what I need to get the most amount of work done in the least amount of time. So if I'm having to spend a lot of time digging through boxes where I can't find stuff, that's an issue. My second requirement is that I spend almost all day and all night in this room unless I'm sleeping, so I needed it to feel pretty. I like these to be very well organized, and this room especially, because I have so much stuff in here, it could easily turn into an episode of Hoarders. So you'll see that I have baskets and boxes, and everything's just kind of organized in its own little space to help it not feel so cluttered. So this dresser here came from IKEA, and I just painted it. It comes unfinished, and I painted it with chalk paint, and this stores all of my supplies from pencil stuff, water-soluble pencils, my oil painting supplies, airbrushing, and down below, which you're sitting in front of, I have my acrylic paints. Over here, I have a desk. This is made from reclaimed wood. I found a person who makes this on Craigslist, actually, and gave them the dimensions I needed for this exact room, and they have custom made it for me. And the great thing is, it costs less than it would have cost for me to buy a brand new desk somewhere, and it has more of the look that I like. Plus, that's a great way to recycle stuff, so that reclaimed wood look I love. And this is where most of my colored pencils are stored. I've got these 3-drawer pastel boxes, which I'll show you closer in the other video, but that stores my pencils. The first drawer holds my polychromos, next are my luminance, Prismacolor, and then all of my Winsor & Newton pigment markers are on the last two sections. This bottom drawer holds all of my charcoal supplies, which you guys know I don't use too often because it feels messy and dirty and I don't like it that much. Under the desk is where I hold all my stuff for the live streams. That is pretty much all in different containers down there, and I'll show you how I've got that organized in the other video as well. Moving on, my TV trays that I could not live without. This is what I pull out and store my palettes, my water wells, pencils, anything that needs to be around my easel. This lets me move them wherever is convenient depending on what medium I'm working in. So these are one of those studio must-haves for me. Down below here, I've got my tiny little air compressor for airbrushing, some excess paintbrushes that didn't fit in with my other paintbrushes. You can see I have my airbrush setup is always ready to go. I just leave that clamped onto the easel all the time. This is the mic that I use for live streaming, and I will be doing another 360-degree video showing you guys my whole setup when I'm recording, so you can get an idea of how I do everything. And this one's nice because it can move completely out of the way as I need to. Over here is a shelving unit that I also got at IKEA. I like these because you can easily adjust how high or low you want each shelf. You can add more or take away, and being that I do have so much stuff in here that needs to be organized in kind of very specific heights, especially with the canvases because you have so many standard sizes. This is just, I love these shelves. And then this one I painted. This is the monitor that I use for my reference photos. I generally just slide it a little closer over to my canvas as I work. These baskets I also got at IKEA, and they just slide onto the shelf. And this is where I put my wet brushes. This one is for my wet acrylic brushes, then my wet oil painting brushes. Down below I have all of my soft-bodied acrylic paints that I use with the Liquitex pouring medium. big bucket of Liquitex pouring medium next to it, and my other paint brushes in their other holder, which again will be in the other video. If you look up above my backdrop here, I use that as a great way to store paintings that I don't have space for over here. It keeps them out of the way and makes the room look kind of full and pretty. I hate blank walls, as you can see as you look around. Eventually, probably every square inch of these walls will be covered with something or another. I hate blank space. Moving over here, this is the spot that I'm generally sitting at. If I'm not here, I'm here. This is where I do all of my video editing and voiceovers. My handy Pilates ball, which is great being that I have such a bad back. This has been a lifesaver. This is the only way I can sit for as long as I need to edit. Underneath the desk, I'm not sure if you can see her with the lighting in here, but I have studio assistant number 2. That's her spot. And my computer. Next to that, I have my silver play button and my Patreon plaque. I love these, so they have their own little happy spot. Over this way, I've got more of these IKEA shelves. These are what they look like if you don't paint them. They're just that unfinished wood. I'm pretty sure this is pine. Could be wrong on that. But this is where I store most of my paper that I'm not using. Sanded paper, the bigger pieces of sanded paper, a few unfinished canvases, and I've got down below my printer and the stuff that I need for sending out the Patreon postcards. That box down here is actually where I store a lot of the postcards before they go out. This has some frames that aren't in use and more canvases that I haven't used yet. Next to that, I've got all of my stuff for photography, my lots of tripods and just stuff like that. And I will have another video showing you the gear that I use for that setup. Here, these are what the paper, my big individual sheets of Stonehenge and Fabriano Artistico come in. I just keep them in there. They come in plastic wrapping, and then I just leave that inside of these. It keeps them from getting damaged. Even if I put them up here, I think that I'm just too likely to mess them up as I'm digging through other stuff. So these are my smaller pieces. My big ones are kept here. And then, of course, my pads of paper and a few canvas pads mixed in down below. Up top on this, these are my extra colored pencils. As I start to run low on one pencil, I'll order a couple of extras and I just keep those stored up there until I need them. My TV, which pretty much is only used to play Harry Potter and occasionally Twilight. Don't judge me. I oil paint. There are a lot of paint fumes involved, which makes me somewhat acceptable of the really bad Twilight acting. That is pretty much all that TV is used for. And of course the Scentsy warmer that has colored pencils on it. Two of my favorite things, Scentsy, which is, it's a warmer for scented wax. It's like a scented candle, but without the candle or the fire part. That is there. I've got some cups that I use for storing a few other extra pencils and stuff. These are things I need access to regularly. Those I do not, as you can see, pretty short. I can't reach them. So these are the stuff that I'm going to need access to pretty often, but they don't fit over in that section. Moving over here, we have more extra canvases. Up top, this is where I store most of my colored pencil work. My colored pencil work is stored in one of two places, either these or a portfolio, which I will show you in the other video. Go over why I use each and when I use which one. But that's what those are stored. That light up there is one of the ones that I use when I record my videos. And the teal cloth that you're seeing all over, these are what I use to store my finished paintings when they're completely dry. You don't want to put something wet in these, you'll end up with fuzz all over them. But they're basically just pieces of felt that I sewed into a pillowcase type thing, depending on the size of the canvas, just to fit those specific sizes. And they just slide in. And it's great because it keeps things safe and they don't get scratched. So I can slide it in and out and store them side by side like this without worrying about damaging them. So those have been an absolute lifesaver. And back over here, I've got my container or my wood case for my Derwent Inktense pencils. It's so pretty, I had to leave it out so it could be displayed. Plus it doesn't fit in the drawer, so there's that too. That is it for this video. Again, make sure you check out the other one. That link will be below in the video description so that you can see exactly how I've got all of these things stored up close. If you've not already, please subscribe so you can keep up to date with all 5 of my new art videos that go up every single week. It's a lot of videos. And occasionally a dog rubbing her face on the carpet. Yeah, that's you. Oh, I called you a dog. That was offensive, huh? I'm sorry. And occasionally a studio assistant rubbing her face on the carpet. Is that better? Was that better? I know, we wrote that into your contract. I'm not supposed to call you a dog. I'm supposed to call you my studio assistant. I'm going to owe you extra cookies for that slip up, aren't I?